Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutta Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome everyone back to Saturday Sanga, Sobota Sanga. Just looking at seeing all of you and noticing how you are all in so many different places, I can't help but thinking, I really like this facility that we have, that I can just sit in one place and have all of you together, all the way from Beijing to Mendoza and south of Mendoza and Mayapur and all the other. Don't mention all of them and someone will be unhappy. But anyway, it's nice to see you. Let's see, I'm seeing a face I don't think we usually see. Roberto, Hare Krishna. Nice. And yeah, more will be gathering with us. And we see a Kenshana Balaram and Lalitamrita in Mayapur. Wow. So internet Mayapur ki jai. There's a new hot off the press article in dandavats.com about the Mayapur project. They have quite a big thing about the master plan. What are they calling it? Sri Mayapur World Heritage. It's got a quite fancy name. Lots and lots of plans are there. Yeah. Okay. Here we are on, whoops, did I start? Yes. We are getting ready to sing Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bhajana Lalasa, song number 12. You should have the link so you can follow along. As I remember, this is the second to the last of this series. I believe there are 13 songs total. So we'll see next week. And this song it's Lalasa, it's longing, and it's expressing longing, especially for chanting nicely. So I think that's a topic we maybe want to talk about something today. Let's see. Well, we'll see. Okay. Yeah, the song. First of all, translation, again addressing Gurudeva. O spiritual master, when with a steady mind in a secluded place will I sing the name of Sri Krsna? When will the pandemonium of worldly existence no longer echo in my ears and the diseases of the body remain far away? When will that day be mine? So this is a kind of typical way that longing, hankering is expressed, is with a question, rhetorical question. When, oh, when will that day be mine? Second verse, when I chant Hare Krishna, tears of love will flow from my eyes and ecstatic rapture will arise within my body, causing my hair to stand on end and my body to become overwhelmed with divine love. Is that a question or it's just anticipation? No, I think it's continuing from the previous verse, the question. And then faltering words, verse 3, faltering words choked with emotion will issue from my mouth. Gada gada vani uke bohibe. My body will tremble, constantly perspire, turn pale and discolored, and become stunned. All of this will be like a devastation of ecstatic love and cause me to fall unconscious. Wow. I think he's got all the 8 sattvika bhavas mentioned there. And verse 4, when will such a genuine ecstatic condition be mine? Kabe, habe. I will constantly sing the holy name and remain absorbed in profound devotion while maintaining the material body. In this way, I will obtain your mercy. All right, let's try it, shall we? This is the part which, although it's nice we can all be together, until they develop a technology that can adjust for time lag online so we could actually sing together. We have to sort of do this in a one-sided way, it seems. I don't know. Seems like. Gurudev Kabe Mora Shedina Habe Manastira kori nirjane bosiyā Krishna gā'bo jabe Manastira kori nirjane bosiyā Krishna gā'bo jabe sāra-phukāra kāne bohibe deho-roga dūre rabe sāra-phukāra kāne bohibe deho-roga dūre rabe Hare Krsna boli gāhite nayane bohibe Mora Hare Krsna boli gāhite nayane bohibe Mora dehete pulaka urita bohibe remete kori Mora dehete pulaka urita bohibe remete kori Mora gada bani mukhe bahiribe kampibe sharira mama gada bani mukhe bahiribe kampibe sharira mama dharma muhur Virvarna hoide samita pralaya sama dharma muhur Virvarna hoide samita pralaya sama nishkapate hena dasha Kabe nirantara nama gā'bo nishkapate heno dasakabe habe nirantara nama gā'bo abeshe rohiya deho-jata kori tomara karuna gā'bo abeshe rohiya deho-jatra kori tomara karuna gā'bo. First verse again. Manastira kori nirjane bosiyā Krishna gā'bo jabo Manastira kori nirjane bosiyā Krishna gā'bo, jabe, sāra-phukāra, kāne bohibe, deho-roga, dūre, jabe, sāra-phukāra, kāne bohibe, deho-roga, dūre, jabe. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gora, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. And again with English and Bengali. Gurudev, we know what that means. And we know it's vocative, it's addressing Gurudev. Yeah, we say Gurudev. It's a gesture of respect. It's, of course, devotees often say Guru Maharaj or Gurudev. Both are appropriate. And it doesn't mean that the Guru is God, but like a demigod, in a sense, we understand. This is, a gesture of respect. It's Deva Dvija Guru Pragya Pujanam Socham Arjavam. It's one of the austerities of the body, actually, that we worship Guru. And Deva. Deva can mean God, or it can mean the devas, the devata, the divinity. The word devata, with that T long A at the end, is actually an abstraction. It means divinity in an abstract sense. Devata. We have that in a lot of cases. So Gurudev, Kabe, Mor, Din, Habe. Here's the key question word, Kabe, when? Mor, Din, Habe, when will that day, when will this day be mine, or Habe, or bohibe, when will it be? Mona, sthira, kori, nirjane, bosiyā, Krishna gā'bo, jabe. When, with a steady mind in a secluded place, mana sthira koriya, having made my mind steady, nirjane, of course, jana means people, nirjana, no people, bosiyā, sitting or having seated in a place without people, will I sing the name of Sri Krsna, Krishna-āma gā'bo, future tense, will sing, jabe, sāra-phukāra. When will the pandemonium, phukāra, nicely translated as pandemonium, the turbulence of samsara, of material existence, of worldly existence, no longer echo in my ears. Kāne means ears, in the ears, from karna. Na bohibe. Here it says echo. I don't know, is this the literal meaning? Let's see, maybe Sugopi knows. Is she there?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Maharaj. Pukara, basically to call loudly, so it will be like for the echo. Kāne na bohibe means like it like one can't bear that sound which is echoing.
Okay, so but pukara means calling loudly?
Yes. And bohibe, like it going inside the ear, like I can't bear the sound. That's
okay. Anyway, yeah, I don't see how it fits the pandemonium of sāra-phukāra, but okay. Good, thank you. Then it says deho-roga, dūre, robe. That's interesting. De, of course, means body. Roga means disease. Dūre robe or bohibe. When will the disease condition of the body stay far away? Yeah, so that we can concentrate on Krishna. And at the same time, we kind of know, isn't it, that disease will come. Janma, mrityu, jara, and vyadhi. Vyadhi means also disease. And there's, how does that verse go? I'll think of it, but the prayer of Kulashikar, that he anticipates trouble and therefore wants to focus his mind completely on the Lord now, knowing that the time will come when the body is so disturbed one may not be able to think of Krishna. Okay, second verse. Hare Krishna boli. When I chant Hare Krishna, gāhite, gāhite, tears of love will flow from my eyes. Nayane bohibe lora. Lora? Sugopi, lora?
Even I had doubt, but I guess I think the stream of tears, nayane bohibe, like nayano is the eyes,
Eyes.
bohibe is flowing, bohibe lora, the stream of tears, like stream of.
Okay, stream of tears, good. And gāhite is singing, singing? Gāhite. Okay, then
Singing your name. Yes.
singing. Then dehete pulaka udita hoibe premete koribe bora. Causing my hair to stand on end. My hair, so it's all standing on end. It's so short. And dehete pulaka udita hoibe. It will stand on end. And my body, premete koribe, dehete, premete koribe bhora, my body will become overwhelmed, bhora, I guess, koribe bhora, premete, in love, in divine love. Then, gada, gada, vani, gada, it's usually gada, which is onomatopoeic, the sound of choked voice, gada. Vani, my voice gets choked up. Muke bahiribe, let's see, faltering voice. Kanpibe, sharira, mama, my body. Dharma, muhu, my body will, where is it? Tremble constantly, perspire. I guess that's yes, garma, muhur. And then, yeah, perspiration, then vivarna. Vivarna in Sanskrit, here it's vivarna. A changing of color, or here it says turning pale and discolored. A lot of these symptoms, of course, if you look at somebody and they have these symptoms, you think, oh, this person has become very sick. And Bhaktivinoda Thakura is hankering for this condition of transcendental disturbance. Garmi muhu vivarna hoibe stambita means being stunned. Pralaya sam. Pralaya means devastation. It's sometimes translated death as an ecstatic symptom, but as to fall unconscious. Pralaya sama, literally equal to destruction, or in other words, like complete destruction, going unconscious. And finally, nishkapate heno. When will such a genuine ecstatic condition be mine? Dasha kabe habe irantaranama gā'bo. Well, nishkapata, as I understand, means not exactly ecstatic condition, but one of total freedom from false ego, of total humility. Yeah. Nishkapate heno. Heno means such. In such mood of humility. Dasha means a level, a position, platform. Kabe habe, when will that level of condition come? Nirantara nama gā'bo, when I can constantly, nirantara, near, antara. Antara means end, near, without end. Nama gā'bo, I will sing the name constantly. Aveshe, rohiya, I will remain absorbed in profound devotion. It says here, deha jatra kori, koriya, while maintaining the material body. Deha jatra koriya. Tomar karuna pabo. In this way I will obtain pabo, your mercy, karuna. Tomar karuna. Aveshe, we've talked about this, like prema avesha or premavesha means literally being possessed. Literally, it means having entered into, because it comes from vish, which means to enter, from which we have the name of the Lord, Vishnu. And then vish becomes vesha, and then avesha is a kind of strengthening prefix, long a. So it comes to mean like being possessed. Like being possessed by a ghost, except that the devotee is possessed by Krishna. So that's desirable. If you're possessed by Krishna, you're in good shape. Yeah, so there's a lot of, in terms of grammar, there's a lot of future tense in this song. Bohibe, jabe, gā'bo, bohibe, bohibe, kori, bohibe, nayane, bohibe, bohibe, and then paibo, gā'bo, I will sing, I will obtain. So there's a lot of anticipation here of chanting Hare Krishna in a state of being overwhelmed with ecstatic love. And that's something to hanker for. That's something we can say, look forward to. And if I remember correctly, that's what we're going to get a description of in the next and final song, in which Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes how he's actually achieved that condition. So in this song, he's longing for that. He's looking, when will that happen? And immediately in the next song, it comes. Yes. So stay tuned for next week. And while we are on the subject of songs, I kind of randomly earlier today opened this book, Sur's Ocean. Sur Das is one of the Vaishnav poets, not of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, but one of the not one of the four standard sampradayas, but he's associated with, he's sort of claimed by the Vallabha Sampradaya, although historically that's a kind of questionable claim. But anyway, Surdas, said to have been blind, and in his blindness have had very deep inner vision of the Lord. This is a collection of his songs. And although it's a bit late with respect to Holi, Holi was celebrated at the same time as Gaur Purnima. But because Holi is a spring festival and spring is gradually coming to Poland, I thought this is a nice song not to sing. I wouldn't know quite how to sing. I can try to read the Braj Bhasha. This is just to give you some of the flavor, but the translation is very sweet. It's a lot of very vivid description of Radha and Krishna playing Holi. So the song starts like this: Hori, ho, 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 hori. That's the first line. And then it goes like Shelata ati susha priti pragatabai uttahari uttahi radhika gori vajata tara mridanga janjadafa bicha bangsuri duni tori gāvata dade gari paraspar bari kanhahi brishabana kisori mriga madda sasha javadi kumakama kesari malai mile matti gori bharata ranga rajata rati sagara mano umangi bailabal hori chutigai lokalaja kulla sankha gannata nagura gopani kitta kori jaise apne mera mate mada chora bhora niravata nisi chori unipatta pitta kiye rangarate inna kanchuki pitta ranga bori rahi na mana marajada adika susha sahachari sakati ganti gahi chori barani na jayi bachana rachana ruchi ya chabi jak jori suradas sarada saralamati so iha nati boli by bori. Now, what does all that mean? Okay, for our translators, I'll have to go very slowly. This is poetry, and it's been translated also by Jack Hawley, who's one of the scholars we interviewed in the Bhagavata, in that film, documentary film. He translates like this: ho, 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 holy. They joyfully play, and their love comes clear. Hari, there, here, fair Radha. Long drums, round drums, cymbals, and tambourines pound and through it faintly the flute. As Khan, that is Krishna, and Vrishabhanu's daughter sing open insults at each other. Can you imagine Radha and Krishna singing insults at each other? Musk, sak, javadi, kumkum, saffron, sandal. These they take and churn to a liquid and let passion's ocean brim with love's color and surge with a force to flood its shores. Musk, sak, javadi, kumkum, saffron, sandal. It doesn't explain what is sak or javadi. We know kumkum. In any case, these are colors, and apparently these are the traditional colors that would be used for playing Holi. It says they ground them, churn them into liquid, and then they're throwing them. And then they let passion's ocean brim, it means become full, with love's color, and surge means flow over with a force to flood its shores. Long gone modesty and concern for the family name. So modesty has been forgotten about. We don't care about modesty. We don't care about the name of the family. They hardly care what teachers or cowherds might say. Like thieves, drunk on deeds, who regale the gang at dawn with tales of what they stole the night before. So there's an analogy here that Radha and Krishna are acting like thieves who have stolen something, and it's a group of thieves, and now they're bragging to each other. They're so intoxicated with their success that they're just going on and on with big stories about how they stole their goods. His, that is Krishna's, once yellow garments, now dyed red. Her bodice, that's her upper dress, it's drenched in yellow. Her meaning Radha. With all that happiness, there's no holding back. So a friend jumps in and finishes the act by knotting their clothes together. So now Radha and Krishna have been throwing colors at each other and insulting each other. Now some friend comes. It just says sahachari, some assistant, jumps in and ties their clothes. So that's what happens when there's marriage, right? He finishes the act by knotting their clothes together. No words can describe the delight of what is fashioned. And there's a colon, so what is fashioned? The beauty of their sparring tug of war, their back and forth war of fight, of speaking. Sparring is like arguing. And finally, Surdas says, this performance leaves the lucid-minded goddess of learning stunned, stupefied, lucid-minded, clear-minded. So normally, the goddess of learning is, very clear-minded, but now observing what's been going on here, the goddess of learning, Saraswati, is completely bewildered. This is what Surdas says. Hare Krishna. Okay, poetry session over. I hope you found that interesting. Was that interesting? Silence. Everyone's being politely silent. Okay. Okay, some notes are here. Okay. Backing up a little bit. Prabhupada said he did not like the disciples to address him as Gurudev because impersonalists like to use that word. That could be the case, yeah. What can I say? It's something of a convention, and of course, anything, I would say like this, to therefore say that we don't use it at all might be a bit arbitrary. In other words, it's a sort of common general expression of respect that I don't think we have to ban from ISKCON. Prabhupada didn't, taking as you say, Prabhupada didn't like it because he associated with the impersonalists. Was it only impersonalists who do that, I guess, would be the question also. And you're asking, there's a Surdas's Ram Charitavali. Is this the same Surdas from whom you read this poem? Well, the thing is, nobody knows exactly what Surdas actually wrote. There are collections of poetry that have accumulated over the centuries where, yeah, any number of people who felt themselves to be perhaps empowered by Surdas or who knows what, they would sign their name to Surdas and the tradition would accept it. They would say, yes, this is very much in the mood of Surdas and therefore we include this in our collection of songs. And that's true for a lot of poets in India. The same is true for Kabir and so many others. So we don't really know, but you're mentioning Ram Charitavali. Okay, Surdas Ram Charitavali. I know of a Tulsidas Ram, I guess it's called Ram Charitavali. It's not Ram Charitmanas, it's a separate poem which he wrote, which I know about because we studied it for some time at Oxford with the guidance of one expert in Braj Bhasa. But I can't answer what you're asking, and I'm not sure if, yeah, it could be the same. It's the famous Surdas, put it that way. It's the Surdas that most everyone talks about when they refer to Surdas. So this is a very big collection from these two scholars, Kenneth Bryant and Jack Hawley, as you can see, thick book with lots of notes and yeah, hundreds of poems. in categories of different themes. Yeah, 433. Yeah, there's 433 poems in this collection. Recently published by the Murti Classical Library of India. Vrindapati says he heard that Tulsidas and Surdas met in Varanasi once. Quite possible. There's, of course, lots of legends, and it's always difficult to know what's a legend and what's historical. And let's see, Sugopi Tungavidya, there's a tree whose flowers are used to make color and believed that the color helps one to be protected from pox and measles. Okay. So I guess you're saying that Holi in its traditional way can be medicinal. Whereas now it's the opposite. They make these colors out of chemicals. And some of these chemicals, I understand, these powders, have some sort of aluminum in them, which is, highly toxic. So when you're in Vrindavan during Holi, especially when it comes to the high point, when they're really throwing the colors around, probably the best thing for your lungs is to stay indoors.
Maharaj, there are some traditional families in Vrindavan who do prepare, like the flower blooms just before Holi. It's orange saffron in color. You must have seen big flowers. It's called the teshu tree. The locals call it teshu, yeah. And it blooms just before Holi, and some traditional families do prepare colors from that tree.
And then they just use it amongst themselves, I guess.
Yeah, like watercolor, basically, like it's water. They make watercolor out of it.
Yeah, I have a holy story. I guess I've told some of you of my experience when I was in Vrindavan some years ago, and it was Gaur Purnima and it was Holi. And I think it may have been the day before Gaur Purnima, because in Braj they celebrate in different villages, different days, or altogether for a good 2 weeks. But so I decided to go downtown Vrindavan to try to meet one of the Radharaman Goswamis, whom I had not met before. And I was encouraged to meet this Goswami. And I didn't have a phone number or anything, so I just went. And I thought I will go along the parikram path because along the sort of main road, certainly they'll be attacking with colors. So I went along the parikram path, but of course there were also young boys waiting in an ambush. And they have these big, huge plastic like syringes. And they'll have a bucket with the color water in the bucket, and then they'll fill up this device that's like a syringe, like a big syringe, and then they're just waiting for you. And there's simply no way to avoid them. As soon as they see you, these are kids who are, 5, 6, 8, 10 years old. There's nothing you can do except run as fast as you can. and you'll still get colors. So that's what happened to me. But I ran between and through them and continued on my way. I was determined I'm going to meet this Goswami. And so eventually I found the home of this family. And this is one of the, how to say, one of the cultured families. And they had a large house with a big courtyard and so on. So I was coming unannounced. And so the guard let me in to a sort of reception area in the front. And then he called the Goswami. And the Goswami came and he was very gracious. And I was already quite wet and he was offering me a seat on the couch. And I said, no, I'm all wet from Holi. So maybe you have some other kind of seat. So he offered, one of these like plastic chairs, and I sat and we were talking for some time. And then he said, it was kind of funny. At one point he said, because we talked about one of my shishyas who knows him and who had encouraged me to visit him. And he said, so I heard that the Guru Maharaj of so-and-so is in town. Have you heard that? And I said, well, what can I say? Actually, that's me. And he jumped. He jumped up and, he suddenly everything changed from being, at that time I was brahmachari, from being, an ISKCON brahmachari. Now I was somebody. And so he gave royal treatment. He brought me in, gave me a tour, took me by car to their Goshala, and just on and on for the rest of the afternoon. So it was quite funny. But all this time I'm wearing these clothes that are covered in colors. That's my experience of Holi in Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. All right. Akinchana Balaram is saying we had some experience.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, 2005, if you remember, we were just coming from Varanasi, and from Mathura, the rickshaw dropped us on a parikrama road, and there was a big stream of pilgrims making parikrama on Ekadashi, and everybody had collars, and we just arrived with our bags, and everybody was throwing on us. And I remember next day you had to give a class, and your head was still kind of red from these colors. It was my first time in Vrindavan, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
2005.
Yeah, I think so, 2005, most likely. Yeah, we were visiting Ananda Sarovara Mataji in Varanasi at her university, and after that, we came to Vrindavan by train.
Okay.
And then first step out of the rickshaw was colors everywhere.
Colors, yeah. They told me that I think it's the day after Holi, or maybe 2 days, I can't remember, one of those days before or after Holi. They say the tradition in Braj is that they don't throw colors, they throw sewage water.
I had a direct experience of that around Govardhan. I was thinking it's safe to go after Gaur Purnima, so I went to Parikrama, and then some lady stopped me with a stick there, wanting some payment. And I was thinking, what is this? I just wanted to push myself through. But then there was a group of people behind her, and they switched on me all over. And I was all black. Had to take in Govinda Kund to wash myself after that.
Yeah, this is Braj. You were getting lots of special mercy in Braj. Okay, well, I'm sort of babbling on and on. Does anyone have some show and tell, anything to share? Anything you would like to bring to our attention? Mangala Chandrika, you have something.
Yeah, I wanted to share with everybody what I was doing some weeks ago in regards to a special course that's offered by Rambaru Mataji.
Uh-huh.
She's Prabhupada's disciple, and I felt it was very rewarding. She's running a Karuna Care education. It's like an organization within ISKCON, and they're offering short courses for devotees. And the first course was on grief and impact of grief on spiritual growth of people. And actually throughout all these courses, what her whole mood is to unveil this theme of isolation. And, you know, devotees, even though we are many times in very like crowded communities, still isolation is number one reason for mental illness or depression and so on. So, and she's really kind of supporting this principle of, you know, how love and support of devotees is the most healing thing that one can experience, and how on our spiritual path we really need support of others to be able to progress. So the first course that she offered was all about grief, and we know that this material world is designed in a way that we're constantly being confronted with loss, either loss of loved ones or loss of relationships, loss of things, loss of time. So we're constantly being confronted with this grief, and culturally we are normally taught that, you know, we just move on, but actually going through grief is very powerful for spiritual progress. And I felt that the course was really done nicely. She had like 2 groups of more than 60 people attending, and very interactive. So it was very successful. I think she didn't expect that at all. And so next course is coming up, and it's all about emotions, how to recognize one's emotions. And the title is, let me see, Name Your Feelings, Tame Your Mind. So many times.
Name your feelings, tame your mind.
Yes.
Okay.
I will send the link for a promotional video. It's very nicely done.
Okay.
Yeah, because many times we're speaking about spiritual emotions. I know when we read all about spiritual emotions in our scriptures and exchanging loving exchanges between Vaishnavas, but many times it's so hard to recognize our own emotions and what we're going through and express that to others. She's offering that. It's a 5-week course, and then there will be a 3rd course on trauma and addiction. So like that.
And she's professionally trained in, I forget exactly, but some sort of counseling and care.
Yeah, she has a PhD in crisis counseling, and she's a chaplain, professional chaplain in different hospitals. And yeah, she's working basically with outside people. And she has a professional course where she wants to train people to become professional chaplains within ISKCON. And that's her goal. That's her kind of focus. But yeah, she also offers shorter courses for people who just want to get some personal skills or skills to help others, like that.
Very nice. Yeah, she's doing a lot of service in that way.
Yeah, so
go ahead.
Yeah, the only downside is that the course is at the same time, exactly the same time as we have our Sanga. So it's like a little bit of a loss in that way, but I think it was very valuable. And
Well, I will give permission for anyone who wants to attend her course.
Okay.
You can watch our gathering, the recording later.
Yeah. Yeah. So
It's good. I think, you know, on both sides. One is just for devotees for us to learn these skills for ourselves, because yeah, we live in troubled times, and the trouble is internal, the trouble is external. I've tried, you know, a few times doing my little Shanti seminar from my unprofessional level, but it's good that we have Rambharu Mataji doing from a professional level as a devotee. You know, there's so many professionals, but she has the vision, the perspective of devotional bhakti culture, so that can be very strong. And then also to give opportunity for especially younger devotees sort of looking for a career. What shall I do with my life? This is one very viable career track, I think. The other one, which I talk about sometimes for devotees of a certain mentality, is mediation, to become trained professionally as a mediator. Can be can be a nice career, and it can help, yeah, can help people, help the world. Thank you. So you're going to take all the courses, Mangalachan?
yes, I plan to take all 3, and then let's see if I continue or not.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. And also I wanted to say that she offers, now she's still very involved. I think she still handles all the things, although she's getting more and more busy. So many devotees have the need for this kind of support. She's holding 2 resilience groups at different days, where devotees can basically just drop in and just share their heart, whatever they're struggling with. And they get a lot of support like that from, you know, group and from her personally. So it's very valuable. And it's all information is on the website, which I will post, Karuna Care.
Uh-huh.
So.
Okay. Very good. Anybody else want to share something, anything? Something that...
Guru Maharaj, before we continue, maybe our guest maybe is ready, or Nandimukhi Mataji has some information, maybe?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I updated you that that's going to happen next week.
Next week. Oh, okay. Then
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Oh, Chitrakarani, yes.
Please accept my respectful obeisances.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna, all the God brothers and God sisters. I just want to make one announcement and request. I just want to remind everybody that we are looking for volunteers who would like to make a translation for the Bhagavata Purana documentary. It's not necessary that you make it on your own, but you can know devotees who have time and who can make translation, and you can encourage them. So it will be very nice if we could translate it into other languages other than Spanish, Russian, and Turkish. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Has anyone not seen our film yet? Or maybe I should ask, has anyone seen the film yet? A few of you have seen. And maybe some of you don't know, there's a film, and maybe Chitrakarni, you can post the link to the film so they can see it. You mentioned Russian, Spanish, Turkish. Isn't it that we also have German in process?
Actually, the Spanish is finished and the Russian is in progress, but German, I don't think it is started.
But didn't we find someone? Didn't Ramananda Gopal find someone?
Yes, but he didn't start it.
Okay, but at least we have someone.
But
So
it's not clear. I didn't receive a promise.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, so let's see, what other languages? Croatian, Hindi, what else?
Slovenian.
Slovenian.
Ananta Sarovara said she could actually do it, but in the summer. So let's see if we find somebody earlier.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that would be a nice service. It's easy enough to do for someone who knows enough English to translate, because it's all written out. The whole text we have written out, and one simply has to take that text and go through it line by line. I think we also have in process Chinese, Mandarin. Someone in Taiwan is doing that, hopefully. And speaking of Chinese, I see Prema Sarovara and Gauranataraj. I'm happy to see you, and I'm a little worried because I was told a couple of days ago that soon you will no longer have access to Zoom. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I heard. Hopefully it's not true. Yes, no, Gauranataraj is nodding and shaking and nodding and shaking.
We don't know. We don't know the 消息了。
No means
maybe Gopi Krishna said that.
yeah.
Yes, but it's about if Chinese devotee want to have a lectures on Zoom, maybe government
restrict,
don't allow.
Doesn't allow, right?
Yes.
Oh, but from outside it's okay.
Yes, yes.
So okay.
It's okay. We can enter. We can.
Okay, that's good. At least that is there.
Yes. So at least we can associate.
Okay, good. All right. Well, was there anything else from anyone? Some burning news or topic? Oh, I just noticed we also have Chetan with us. Welcome, Chetan. You're here somewhere, I guess.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavad Pranam.
Chetan he's in Lyon, is it, in France?
Yes, Maharaj.
Just moved there from Mumbai. Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to do some Chaitanya Charitamrita reading, continuing with Chaitanya Charitamrita. My thought is, well, maybe not one thought, but a few scattered thoughts. We sort of ended last time, as I remember, we were talking about the Pancha Tattva, and we brought in this fancy word from the Greek, perichoresis. I meant to mention at that time that choresis literally means, has to do with dancing. So Parakores is dancing around. That's what the Panchatattva do. And that's mentioned in the beginning of chapter 7, but I would like to suggest that we enter into a bit of the world of Vedanta philosophy as presented by Krishnadas Kaviraj, representing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we talked a little about this, how Krishnadas describes this one episode twice of meeting Prakashananda Saraswati. Once in Adi Lila chapter 7 and once in Adi Lila chapter 25, which suggests that he thought it's rather important or very important for us to hear. And why is it important? I think the point was nicely put by Radhika Raman Prabhu in one of the 3 lectures I mentioned also maybe last time on YouTube. You can watch his presentation, what he titled The Lure of Mayavada. And he's making that point rather strongly, that we all have a tendency toward Mayavada or illusionism, or in various flavors, just by virtue of being in this material world. This is the world where a sort of natural almost tendency is there when we become philosophical about the suffering that we experience in this world, to want to negate it by saying that everything is illusion, that it's all unreal. And that tendency, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to go against. He wants to take us out or away from that tendency. And this is on my mind in particular because I'm now studying the Tattva Sandarbha of Srila Jiva Goswami, in which, in the second half of his book, he addresses, in a quite short way, but still he's addressing some of the issues that come up about Mayavada, and how he argues how it is a misunderstanding of the way things are, or a misunderstanding of what Vaishnavas understand to be the truth of the Vedic Siddhanta, or strictly speaking, the Vedanta. So I hope you can sort of indulge me in this a little bit. Also, I recommend that you read on your own, because here Srila Prabhupada gives some extensive commentaries, quite extensive. In fact, that may be what scares you away from reading it, as you think, oh, this is too much for me. But Krishnadas Kaviraj tells us, and I was trying to remember where it is, he says, don't be afraid of philosophy. It's good for you. Don't be lazy. Don't be mentally or intellectually lazy. But make the effort to understand, because it is strengthening our conviction in the truth of devotional service. So I read, was it last time? Was it time before? Forgetfulness. I read verse 105 of Adi Lila, chapter 7, and I will read it again because it's the beginning of the discussion when Mahaprabhu is speaking his understanding, the Vaishnava understanding, we should say the Gaudiya Vaishnava in particular, understanding of Vedanta in this very summary form, or we might want to say simplified form of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So verse 105, but first, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Okay, verse 105. Tomara prabhave shobar anandita mana kabu ashangata nahe tomara bachana. This is being spoken by the followers of Prakashananda Saraswati. They say, "Dear sir, by your influence, our minds are greatly satisfied, and we believe that your words will never be unreasonable. Therefore, you may speak on the Vedanta Sutra." This verse is important for us to appreciate how the audience of Mahaprabhu in this occasion became opened up to listen. You can say from the moment Mahaprabhu appears in their midst, up to this point, is describing how he has been softening their hearts. And by his humility and by his effulgence. Also, Radhika Raman Prabhu makes this point. He says, we may not have the effulgence that Mahaprabhu had in the assembly of these sannyasis, which attracted them. However, if we are strictly following the sadhana, the Vaishnava sadhana, and keeping the regulations and so on, then we will be effulgent. And it's really true that people notice, oh, these Hare Krishnas, there's something about them. And there are so many stories where devotees say, well, I was kind of trying to hide that I'm a devotee, but no, it wasn't possible. Someone immediately recognized, oh, this must be a Hare Krishna. So that effulgence, and then the humility of Mahaprabhu, that he was sitting in this very humble place, humble position, and Prakashananda brought him forth from there. And I would also say that tied, or an important component of this humility, is his expression of honesty. They ask him, why you are not joining us? Why you're not joining us in discussing Vedanta as we do as sannyasis? You're a sannyasi, we're sannyasis. Why you are going about carrying on with your singing and dancing? And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu answers them in a very straightforward way, very honestly. He says, my guru told me I'm not qualified to study Vedanta, that I should simply chant this mantra. And then he tells the story of how that came about and how his experience of chanting resulted in this exalted experience of, as we so much like to say, ecstasy. Ecstasy and maybe also ecstasy. So with all of that, now the followers of Prakashananda are completely open. They're saying, we want to hear from you. Tomar prabhave shobar anandita mana. Our minds are anandita. They've been made ecstatic. Kabu ashangata nahe. There is nothing to justify, I would say. There's nothing unreasonable about you. You're a very reasonable guy. Let's hear what you have to say. Okay, and then he begins. And I'm skipping purports only because I want to give something of the flow, the connection between the verses. And also these, as I said, are long purports, so please read on your own. This you can make your homework for this week. From verse 106. So the verse is, Prabhu kahe Vedanta Sutra Ishara Vachan Basarupe Koila Jaha Sri Narayana. The Lord said, Vedanta philosophy consists of words spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, in the form of Vyasadeva. Now, it turns out that there's quite a bit packed into that, what seems to be a simple statement. And some of what's packed into that is unpacked in the Tattva Sandarbha. There's, in the edition of Tattva Sandarbha that we have from the BBT, translated and commented by the late Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu. It's a very nicely done edition. It includes Jiva Goswami's own commentary to the Tattva Sandarbha. This is called the Sarva Samvadini. And so within the commentary, which is in the back of the book, excuse me, there's some elaboration of Tattva Sandarbha, which is an elaboration on, or we can say it is a treatise. Sandarbha is a kind of treatise on the Bhagavatam. And in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, in the beginning of the Tattva Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami is giving a systematic argument of why it is that he's taking the Srimad Bhagavatam as the ultimate authority for his topic. His topic is Lord Sri Krishna. He wants to elaborate all about Sambandha, Avideya, and Prayojana, about Lord Sri Krishna. How to do this, or on the basis of what authority, it's going to be on the authority of the Bhagavatam. Here, by the way, is a definition of a sandarbha. What is a sandarbha? Gudhartasya prakashascha sarokti sreshtatatata nanartavatvam vedyatvam sandarbha katyate buddhai. Intelligent, the wise, buddhai, say that a sandarbha is giving us confidential meanings, guda artha, It's manifesting prakasha. It's manifesting confidential meanings. And sara ukti, it's telling us the essence of a teaching. Sreshtata, it's giving us the higher understanding, or the best understanding, I should say. And nana artha vatvam, it's giving also various meanings. And vedyatvam, it is giving us that which is to be known. That's the definition of sandarbha. So in this tattva sandarbha, Jiva Goswami is, one of the things he's explaining is that Vyasadeva is no ordinary Vyasadeva. There's a Vyasa who appears with each cycle to do his task of compiling and dividing the Veda. That sort of routine task is always there. And that Vyasa can be a Jiva Tattva person, but Jiva Goswami argues that this particular time, and he quotes from Purana to give this justification, this particular time, our Vyasa, namely Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, is Narayana. Now this is a different understanding from even other Vaishnava traditions, apparently. You'll usually see the author for Vedanta Sutra, also known as Brahma Sutra, is called Badarayana. And generally, he will be referred to by scholars, by whoever. The author or the attributed author of Vedanta Sutra is Badarayana. Jiva Goswami is saying Badarayana is a name for Vyasa, the same Vyasa who has compiled the Mahabharata, the Puranas, etc., etc. And he's going a step further. He's saying this Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa is none other than Narayana, is Krishna, is the Lord himself. And he's saying that this Vedanta, which all of you sannyasis are reading and studying and talking about, let's remember where it comes from, who has written it, why and how it's been written. It's been written by none other than Lord Narayan in the form of Vyasa. So that's his claim. Now, we may wonder, I wonder, because what we're getting in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we probably assume as a kind of very compact summary of so much of Mahaprabhu's pastimes, including this. So we can well imagine these Advaitavadi sannyasis at this point already objecting and saying, this is Badarayana, this is not Vyasa. But Krishnadas does not tell us that. He simply has us hearing from, we're to understand, we're hearing from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the next verse is giving a point which we may all be familiar with, but it's good to hear again. Brahm pramad vipralipsa karana patava ishvarer bhakkenahi dosha e shava. The material defects of mistakes, illusions, cheating, and sensory inefficiency do not exist in the words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we understand that these 4 defects, they're called doshas, Brahma, and this is spelled in a different way from Lord Brahma. It's B-H-R-A-M-A, not B-R-A-H-M-A. So it's Brahma. Is sometimes translated as mistakes. It can also be translated, I've seen, as inattention. Inattention. And then pramada, illusion. Mada can mean also madness, and pramada, big time madness. So when one is seriously mad, we may say that person is in illusion. Vipralipsa, lipsa means something like cheating, and vipralipsa, Prabhupada sometimes says the tendency to cheat. And the specific tendency of cheating that we all suffer from, that we all have to admit that we tend to do, is to claim to know something which we don't know. That's the specific. Sometimes we used to get this all the time when I was on traveling Sankirtan, and we'd be looking for some particular address, and we would stop and ask someone, or a street, or a street, and we'd ask somebody, and they would point, oh, you go down there 2 blocks, and then it's on the right or something. So then we'd do that, and we'd see it's completely wrong. Our GBC at that time, the late Hansaduta Prabhu, he said, whenever you ask directions, ask 10 people. Then you may find you'll get it, but don't expect one person to give you the right answer. Okay, so here, simple point. Lord Chaitanya is saying that we all suffer from these faults, and Lord Narayan, who is Vyasadeva, does not have these faults. And why does this matter? This matters for establishing, and now comes the technical term, pramana. This is how it is, what are the means of knowing. Pramana means the way by which we know something. So a lot of discussion in the beginning, well, not so much in the Tattva Sandarbha itself, but it's elaborated quite a bit in the Sarva Samvadini, is about a process of elimination, a process of eliminating possible ways of knowing as being disqualified to the point where we conclude that for what is reliable knowledge about higher truth, we resort to shabda pramana. And shabda pramana can be of 2 types. One is with defect, and one is without defect. And of course, what we're interested in is shabda without defect. And for Jiva Goswami, this means Veda. And why does it mean Veda? Because Veda is accepted by the Vedic schools, including Vedanta and Mimamsa, as being without any human author, or, and some will say, and this is a point of distinction that needs to be clarified, or any personal source. In other words, Veda has always been there. And when Lord Brahma breathes out the 4 Vedas, he is simply transmitting what is already there. And similarly, Narayana is also simply transmitting what is already there. Therefore, it's called apurusheya. From the word purusha, means person. Apurusheya means not from a person. And so here, what Lord Chaitanya is saying is Vedanta specifically, because that's what they're talking about here, is Vedanta, the end of knowledge. Vedanta has been compiled or has been written by a not ordinary person, namely Vyasadeva. And he's saying, keep that in mind as we consider what it says in Vedanta. Then he goes on to say, this is verse 108. Upanishad Sahita Sutra Kaheje Tattva Mukhya Vritye She Arta Parama Mahatto. The absolute truth, tattva, is described in the Upanishads and Brahma Sutra. Usually the term Brahma Sutra seems to get used more than Vedanta Sutra. But one must understand the verses as they are. That is the supreme glory in understanding. Here the key word is mukhya vritti, mukhya vritye. Mukhya means of the face, and it comes to mean direct. And it's in contrast to what's called lakshana vritti or gona vritti, which are indirect ways of reading or of understanding something. And a vritti is a way, is an engagement. It's an action, in this case, mukhya vritye, by direct understanding. It can be a vritti, can be a process or a function. Function might be a better word. Parama Mahatva, this is the ultimate glory of the Vedanta, is to read it directly. Now, what he's preparing to argue here is against Shankara, who is taking certain statements from Upanishads as Mahavakya, and then interpreting all the other statements in the Puranas on the basis of these particular statements that he considers Mahavakyas, which are, I think, altogether like 5 in number. The perhaps most famous one being Tat Tvam Asi, you are that. In any case, here he's giving a rule of interpretation. So whenever we have something we're reading, if we are reading it and it's not just some black marks on paper for us, but it has some meaning, that taking of meaning involves a process of interpretation. And then how do we interpret? Because there may be more than one way to interpret something. That may be governed by certain rules or certain standard procedures. Okay, so here Mahaprabhu is giving a rule which is not followed by the followers of Prakashananda. So he's going to, right from the start, he's saying, let's get things straight. How are we going to read Vedanta Sutra? Let's read directly what it says, shall we? Now, to say that is already can be troublesome because the Vedanta or Brahma Sutras are sutras, and sutra means a typically very short aphorism which can easily be interpreted in more than one way. It almost invites interpretation from more than one way. And so the whole Vedanta tradition is one of commenting on Vedanta Sutras because they are so cryptic, they're so, by themselves, they actually don't really make sense. So you might wonder, why would anyone write a book that nobody can understand? Why would Vyasadeva write such a book? Well, one explanation is that the way Vedanta would traditionally be done is you have your teacher, your guru, who is explaining to you about the Upanishads, probably probably just reciting sections of the Upanishads and explaining them. And because the whole process of explanation can become quite elaborate, he might decide, okay, I'm going to make this easier for my students to remember. I'm going to give them some mnemonic devices. Mnemonic device is a device that helps the memory. It's a memory prompt. So, for example, the very first of the Brahma Sutras, Atato Brahma Jignasa. Now, therefore, we desire to inquire about Brahman. It's very short. It seems very simple. And in the translation I just suggested, it seems like a simple enough point. But Ramanujacharya wrote 100 pages of commentary in translation, in English translation, 100 pages on that first sutra. Just explaining the word ataha and the word ataha. It's ataha and ataha. Just to explain those words. So the point is that sutras can be mnemonic devices to help students who have already heard all the details and now they just need some quick reminders. Like we have, memory cards to remember verses. Gudartasya prakashascha sarokti sreshtata tata nanartavatvam vedyatvam sandarbam katyate buddhai. Okay, but now Mahaprabhu is saying to interpret the sutras, you don't have to go to Gonavritti. And that leads to the next verse. Gonavritti jeba bhashya korila acharjo tahara shravane nasha hoy sarva karjo. Shripad Shankaracharya has described all the Vedic literatures in terms of indirect meanings. One who hears such explanations is ruined. He speaks very strongly here. If you listen to Shankaracharya's explanations, you'll be ruined. Well, sometimes one needs to study Shankaracharya in order to understand how one might disagree with what he says, or how one might agree with him. Jiva Goswami agrees with Shankaracharya sometimes. He also agrees with Sridhar Swami, the commentator on the Bhagavatam, whose background was as a follower of of Shankaracharya. And he says in his Tattva Sandarbha, I am going to sometimes quote Sridhar Swami, but not always. I'm not going to follow when he says something which we don't agree with. So here, Sripad Shankaracharya is referred to simply as Acharya. Gona Vritti. So there's Mukhya Vritti and there's Gona Vritti. There are two different ways. Actually, there's generally, at least in poetics, there are three ways of interpreting. The famous expression is Gangayam Goshaha, which literally means the cowherd village on the Ganga, on the Ganges River. So the literal meaning would be that there's a river, Ganges, Ganga, and right in the middle of the river is this village. But if we had a village in the middle of the Ganga, how long would that village last and who would be living there? It would be swept away. It would no longer be there. Therefore, since Mukhya Vritti doesn't work in this case, it doesn't make sense. Therefore, we're going to take Gona Vritti in this case. And we will say what it means is there is a village, a Gosha, on the bank of the Ganga. And that's common in, I don't know, other languages, but in English, it's common to say, yes, on the river Mississippi is the city of St. Louis. Well, it's not on the river, but it's right next to. And then there's the third vritti, which is taking dvanya, or what's the word I want? Implication. It's suggestion. It's giving a poetic suggestion. Again, the example of the village on the bank of the river Ganga. What is suggested by this poetically is that there is a cool breeze and therefore it is a pleasant place. So just by saying Gangayam Goshaha, all of that becomes understood without having to spell out so much about the weather conditions of this particular place. But Mahaprabhu is saying that when we're talking about Vedanta, we should be very careful and not jump so quickly to Gona Vritti. We should do our best to stay with Mukhya Vritti. Why? Because if there's no need for Gona Vritti, then we should stay with the direct meaning, because that would be the intention of the author. And who is the author? The author is, he says, is Vyasa. Okay, maybe just one more verse and then we can see if there's some discussion for a minute. Taharanahi kadosha ishvara gyapaya gonarta korila mukya arta achadya. Shankaracharya is not at fault, for it is under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that he has covered the real purport of the Vedas. And there's a long purport by Srila Prabhupada to this, which you can also read, in which Prabhupada quotes from Padma Purana, the whole explanation, Mayavadam asat shastram prachanam bodham uchate, hidden Buddhism, and so on. That's being explained. So, but I think here for us is interesting to note Mahaprabhu is being respectful to Shankaracharya. He's not like Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya is famously being harshly critical, and his followers, of Shankara, of Shankara and his followers. But Mahaprabhu is being very respectful. He's saying he is not at fault. He's simply following the order of the Lord. And what was that order? That he should cover achadya, the real meaning of the Veda. And why should he do that? That seems, why would you want to cover the highest knowledge if the highest knowledge is benefiting everyone? That, of course, is the subject that relates with the Vaishnava understanding of Buddhism, which is a topic I suppose we could say something next time, but we'll see, because next time, Krishna willing, we will have a guest visitor, a surprise guest. Hare Krishna. Okay. Let's see. Avadita Rise always got comments and questions. Jnana and agyana are functions of Maya. Mayavadi say agyana is removed by jnana, but how they remove jnana? Well, you know, that's a whole discussion. And it's what exactly Jiva, in a sense, the short answer to that is Jiva Goswami will say, how indeed, it's not possible without the mercy of the Lord. Without the grace of the Lord, the power of Maya cannot be removed. And how do we know that? We all know that from Bhagavad Gita. Daivihi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. Mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. I remove Maya for the person who surrenders to me. That's the short answer. Commentary of Vishwanath. Those who say, I will act like Rama, since he had good conduct, will by such imitation of Rama merge into him. Why this is so? I would want to see the original text and want to see the context. If I had to guess, he's talking about different sorts of liberation. So he might be speaking about Sayujya Mukti, or maybe Sarupya Mukti. But the word merging usually suggests Sayujya Mukti. So if Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura is saying that, then how is he doing, or why is he doing? The idea would be that such a person, if he or she is perfectly imitating is in some sense becoming qualified in a similar way to him. And that would be the theory, I would suppose. And Sugopi Tungavidya, is that the purpose of sutras, is to make us open our mind to explore about them. And so different schools of Vaishnavism and other sects were created with different thoughts about these. Well, we could take it that way, I suppose. But I think we also want to, naturally, because the word Vedanta means end of knowledge, we also want to come to the conclusion, something that all the different schools agree on. There's a lot that they disagree on, but one thing they all agree on is that the aim of Vedanta is liberation. So, and to become liberated, it's understood, is a serious business. We need to understand the message of Vedanta, if we're going to be successful in our pursuit of liberation. And therefore, it's not just about sort of musing and wondering and wandering amongst different interpretations, but it's finally, at the end of the day, it's about understanding in such a way that I can act in such a way as to become liberated. That's my understanding. But it's true that they are conducive, because they're so short, they're conducive to different interpretations. But that's why Jiva Goswami is going to say, that's one of the reasons he gives why not to linger with Vedanta Sutra, because there will be so many different opinions. Therefore, he's going to say, wouldn't it be nice if there would be some text which is in the form of a Purana? Because Puranas are very clear. The Sanskrit is clear. They're written in simple meter verses, anushtup generally, and so on. Wouldn't it be nice if there would be something written by the author of Vedanta, Brahma Sutras, but in the form of a Purana? And then he says, lo and behold, there is, and it's called Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he's going to go on to explain further why the Srimad Bhagavatam, as the Amala Purana, is the one that is taken above other Puranas, which are also compiled by Vyasadeva. Hare Krishna. Well, it's that time of day, and you've all been patiently listening. So many thanks for that. Would you like that we continue with this topic? I see some nodding heads. The others are being polite and not saying anything. Okay. So thank you all, and I wish you all a great week and a safe week and a chanting week and an enriching spiritual week. And yes, you're welcome to read Chaitanya Charitamrita. In particular, if you're wondering where to start, you can start in the beginning, or you can start with Chapter 7, Adi Lila, verse number 105. And then read the purports. Going through, let's see, through 10, there's no purport to 109. Oh, through 1010, yeah, that'll give you some nice long purports. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Itai Gaura Premanande, Hare
Hare Hare. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Bo.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Bo.